This is probably a good moment for me to mention to you the first rule of outdoor services, which is when the sun shifts, you are welcome to do so as well. So feel free to reposition yourself at any time during these services. Some of you may have seen this necklace that I'm wearing. It says Mommy, and it was given to me the first year my daughter Garner started calling me by that name. I want to be clear that Garner has had the privilege of being parented by many, many of whom are wiser than I am. And today, after this service, I'm going to give her this necklace until OT, my beloved grandchild, is up for designing their own tribute. Then I'll ask for it back. But I've been thinking a lot about this dialogue between generations, what Robin Wall Kimmerer calls reciprocity. And I've been thinking a lot about this tennis match that so many of us go through on these holidays, Mother's Day and Father's Day. It's kind of that inner tennis match, watching our gratitude at the things that we do have and what we are grateful for in teaching and our opportunities to parent, even if we've never had a child, but we just help the kid down the street who comes over after school. But also sometimes in that tennis match, we have an ache or a void. Sometimes we feel inadequate. And we all know that we are children of mortal parents, and that is a thing. But this idea of reciprocity, this giving and taking and limit setting, is just part of the natural teaching, as we're reminded by Robin Wall Kimmerer and other wise people. It's not just in human relationships, it's in the deep spiritual relationship with all of life that is part of what we experience. So in this particular time, as we come back together and as different ones of us are dealing with different forms of anxiety, it's important for us to remember this principle of reciprocity and how we can be nurturing and caring in the best spirit of parenting towards one another. We need to be conscious, as she says in her book, Braiding Sweetgrass, the sweetgrass, which is a sacred plant to the Potawatomi people, as Kate said. It is a significance that it is this complexity of reciprocity. As a botanist, she discovered that there was a wisdom in that ancient tradition that's scientifically provable. And the wisdom is that sweetgrass actually needs people to pick and remove some of it in order to flourish. If you take too much, of course, there's an overharvest and it goes away. If you take too little, though, it will die because it gets too dense. So it's the perfect reciprocity of the give and the take that makes that happen. And the thinning for the harvest, which is what she calls the honorable harvest, is what is needed to make it work. This standard of the honorable harvest would be a great standard for us to take as we think about what we want to leave for future generations. And as we contemplate these parenting days that we have in May and June, perhaps it would be better if we celebrated the time we lost our temper and then came to dinner anyway, or when we broke the toy we were trying to assemble for our child and then had to feel pride instead of shame when they corrected us with the rule about no cursing in the house. What if it wasn't about the obsession of making sure your children never feel pain or never encounter a roadblock, and instead it's about sitting down over ice cream and talking to them about the roadblocks you have encountered and how you have gotten over them? And again, not just your children, but the other children that come into your orbit, including the ones here on our campus that are so precious to us, and I will reiterate, unvaccinated at this point. What if it's not about participation trophies and it is about listening to the wisdom of those who've only known this harder world, because their sensitivities are already trying to figure out, as Alex demonstrated, how they are going to survive. The Mother's Day of Peace, as this Mother's Day began, was conceived to witness the mother's hearts broken open by the Civil War to name the deep truths of survival. So as we go forward from this place, let us remember we have the ability to celebrate, let go, and release the unhonorable teachings that we have. You can still come up and release a stone into the water, and we can also pass forward the wisdom that we have been given by so many, whether we call them mother, father, or just friend. Let us celebrate the reciprocity of learning from those who came before us and our commitment to passing that wisdom forward.